Welcome to Artscape. I'm Susan Sablon, your host, and I am going to bring to you today an artist who is not one of the ones who are way out there, way known, way above the radar, but somebody who is way out there and known, but he stays under the radar. His work is incredible, and Philip Schmoll, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Susan.
I am excited to see you here today, to see the art that you do, because I met you a long time ago and knew that you were a photographer and a very artsy type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
That was back 2000 or so?
Yes, approximately. Sure.
Approximately 2000. And we were both very young back then too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, Philip, you have always seemed to have that little artsy edge about you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me about Philip way back growing up. Were you a kid who wrote on the walls, or did you?
To be honest with you, I suppose my artistic nature, creative aspects of my nature, started with things like I was drawn to comic books as a kid. The color, the movement, the action, line, form, all of the aspects of art drew me in. Marvel was always a very big influence in my life, as you see by some of my work. Mm-hmm. But I started to express the power of my imagination through writing first.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Back as a kid? In junior high school, and even I did some work in elementary school when we were first taught about limericks in elementary school. Oh, yes.
I really loved the expression, the poetic expression, the meter, the rhyme, and what have you. I really enjoyed that. So I started to write, and I had an 8th grade teacher named Mrs. Adolphson who inspired me when she saw something in me. We started to examine literature, and I started to see the subliminal imagery that writers were putting into their imagery and the messages that they were sending, and I got it in 8th grade.
Wow.
And Mrs. Adolphson saw that, and she started to ask me on a weekly or monthly basis to write short stories, and she would put me in front of the class and I would read them. And this woman gave me such a venue for artistic expression. I'll never forget Mrs. Adolphson. She was a great lady. She actually not only stopped at my writing, but she would allow me to use my comedy. I was the class clown in 8th grade.
I can't believe that. You're so quiet. Oh
I was the class clown in 8th grade, and she would allow me to do skits in front of the class, and she would bring me up, and she just really brought things out in me, and I'd have to say that, you know, that was a starting point for me. Mm-hmm. But as far as my creativity is concerned, the seatbed of my creativity has always been my inner child, and I've protected that all my life.
Have you?
Yes, when the world said to me, grow up, I said, I'll grow up in this area, but you will not touch my child. And I became very protective of that child, because for me personally, that child is the very seed of my creativity.
Wow. I wonder if that is, do you feel that a lot of people have that or lose that? I mean, we're not going into a psychological thing here, but it's true. Do you feel like some people
lose it in
that
life?
Child?
They sacrifice it, either for money, or they sacrifice it for something that they worship and want. They sacrifice it for whatever the stresses and strains of life that come upon them and make demands upon them. Life tried to make demands upon me as an individual. I had to become responsible. I got married. I raised a child. I've been married 20 years to the same woman. Mm-hmm. And I became a church leader. I had to hold a job all my life to maintain a certain lifestyle. So life made demands on me. But in one area, I refused to give up my inner child, because creativity was so important to me.
Oh, yes.
I believe that, and not to step on anyone's toes, I believe that God himself has put that DNA in me. He is a creator, and therefore I have his DNA, and I am a creator as well. Encompassed in his title, Elohim, the creator, is the very nature of God. I possess that as his child, and I believe that he created me as a small child and put that seed in me. And I've protected that all my life.
Well, and I think he does that for everybody. But
Yes.
as you said, we lose that because we become encompassed in something else.
Sure.
So for our artists out there, I think this is really good for you, because I ask at the end of the show sometimes what our artists can say is a piece of information. And we're going to get this at the beginning of the show, that little piece of information. What can you do to pass on to somebody to make them go? Would that be it?
Yeah, I would say that if you value your gift of creativity, if you value your ability to create, then protect that child. Protect that aspect of your nature that finds wonder in everything that comes through your five senses. And creativity is not just a visual medium. It comes through all of our senses. I create through cooking. I love to cook. I love to dance. I create through worship. I create through singing. In all mediums, I love to create. I consider myself an artist in many different mediums. And so that child finding wonder in all the things, all the input of the senses, and how that percolates subconsciously, and then all of a sudden something will abruptly come forth in my conscious mind that has been percolating in my subconscious mind because my inner child was playing with it. You know, my inner child is playing with the colors, the ideas, the thoughts, the sounds. Then all of a sudden it'll bloom in my conscious mind. I'll have an idea and I'll run with it.
Very good. And then, so at one point or another, you started running with photography.
Photography was something I started to do before I got into college. My father was into making home movies, and that really became the first love. But out of that love of cinematography, an interest in black and white photography started to spring forth, and I had my own black and white lab, so to speak. A friend gave it to me, and then I started to develop my own pictures, and I really love the black and white medium. Not so much color as I do black and white, but digital photography has given me the ability to do more with color.
Well, and we're going to talk about your digital photography because we're surrounded by it here on the set.
Yes.
But take me back to the black and white. What is it about, there are some people who do the black and white photography and even black and white sketching and the art paintings. There's something about the hues that you can capture.
Right.
What is that with
I
shadow?
think it's the crystal clarity that can be achieved, the resolution that can be achieved in black and white that is lost in panchromatic photography, because color photography or panchromatic photography has to apply so many layers or gradations of color that there tends to be a loss, for me personally, this is just my opinion, a loss of sharpness. And I love the sharpness and detail and resolution that can be achieved in black and white. Plus, it's so stark. The realities that are achieved through black and white are just stark realities. Everything's either in black or white. For me personally, there was never any gray areas.
Oh,
you know?
No, I'm going to teach you gray.
Yeah, you're going to have to teach me gray, because I don't like, I believe, and it goes back to my spiritual beliefs, there are no gray areas with God. There is mercy and grace, but, you know, there is right and wrong.
Exactly. Hold that thought. Ladies and gentlemen, with me I have Philip Schmoll. He's an artist, photographer, writer, singer from Fredericksburg, and we're going to bring him back and talk about more of his art after the break. I'm Susan Sablon. This is Artscape. Stay tuned.